And now it's time for hopefully the final readathon I'll be participating in February, because 3 is more than enough for me and there are so many books I want to read. So yeah, and the final readathon for me for February is VaLITines. Yes, VaLITines is back again. Kate is back again, giving us pure goodness, and I'm ready once again this year to participate. Now, for those that don't know, VaLITine is a month-long readathon all throughout the month of February, kind of just like Blackathon, whereby we read books and we also carry out activities that are just basically all about our love for books and our love for being in this bookish community, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, whether you're a blogger, whether you're a reader, whatever the case may be. So far as it is that you love books and you're part of this bookish community, VaLITine is definitely that readathon that is just so chill, all about loving yourself, loving books, loving others. I loved it. I participated in it last year. I met one of my currently most amazing friends on there, Sarah. We were paired up for a body read, and that was when I read my very first ever Lady Taylor book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I fell in love with the book. I fell in love with Sarah. We've been friends ever since. We've been body reading practically every month ever since. So I highly recommend VaLITines, and I highly recommend that you sign up for a body read if you haven't yet, and if it is that this video drops if it is that by the time this video drops it's still open, because I think registration for body reads and for the secret VaLITine exchange is expiring soon. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's that time of the month again. It's time for VaLITines, and I have my phone because there are a lot of prompts. Please note that Kate has stated that we don't need to fulfill all those prompts. It's just for the bingo board. It depends on how competitive you are. If you want to clear out your entire board, then go for it, but if not, whatever way you decide to, you know, draw on your board works perfectly fine with Kate. Like I said, they are pretty amazing, like absolutely fucking amazing. Okay, so the very first prompt says old love. Read an old favorite or a book that brings back fond memories, and for me, I would read the one book I read every year without fail, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It's one of my favorite romances ever. It's one of my favorite books ever. It's just bloody brilliant. If it is that you do not know what Pride and Prejudice is about, it's all about Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy and how they meet and how they cannot stand each other when they first meet because they have preconceived notions about one another, and due to miscommunications and so many other things, also due to their social standing / stature, they do clash heads and butt heads, but beneath all that tension, attraction blossoms and love follows, and it's just one of my favorite books, one of my favorite romances. I reread it every year. I'm definitely going to be rereading it as my old favorite. The second prompt says Black History Month. We have to read a book written by a black author, and for that I'm going with Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. In this we follow Chloe who has been chronically ill, and when it is that she suffers a near-death experience, she decides that because of her chronic illness she's not been living her life to the fullest, and she decides that that is going to change, that is going to stop, and so she makes a list of all these amazing fun things that she wants to do, and she makes this Andy man who is a bad boy with tattoos who she likes, and it's steamy, it's fun, it's amazing. It has so much to say about chronic illness. So many of my friends read this book last year and absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to read it this year and also fall in love with it. So Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. And then the next prompt says love notes. We have to spend at least 30 minutes over the course of the entire month leaving comments on videos, Instagram posts, blog posts, etc. of creators that you appreciate. I do this every time I watch a creator's video. I just think that leaving comments is very encouraging, which, by the way, thank everybody that leaves comments on my videos. Thank you. I see it. I know it takes me a while sometimes to reply because work is busy this January. It's been very insane, but I will get to all your comments. I do see all your comments. Thank you so much. But yes, I always do this. I always leave comments on videos I enjoy, on any content I enjoy. So it's just going to be so cool because this is kind of like giving me permission to just continue doing what I've always been doing. And I'm, of course, definitely going to spend more than 30 minutes because I repeat, I do this on every video. So yeah. The next prompt says that's my type. Read a book recommended to you or extremely in your comfort zone, and for that I am still going to go with Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Why? Because it features my favorite trope, my absolute favorite trope, enemies to lovers, and it just fits perfectly well for this prompt, so I'm going to take it. The next prompt says first date. Read an author's debut, and for that I am going with A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. In this this world you have two sisters and only one of them can ascend the throne. As such, they have to battle to the death. They have to fight. They have to kill the other sister to assume the throne. And we have our protagonist Ava, who starts this book called Innocent, believing that, you know, her sister wouldn't want to kill her. But when an attempted assassination is made on her life, she realizes exactly what trouble she is in, and so has to fight to survive, has to fight to beat her sister. It's Amanda Joy's debut novel, and I've wanted to read this book ever since my copy arrived, and I'm definitely going to be reading it for VaLITines. So at least I hopefully will be reading it for VaLITines, and I think Blackathon too, because I kind of chose this as well for Blackathon. But yeah, A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. And then the next prompt is show and tell. We are to talk about a favorite book on your social media platform of choice and show it off with a picture. I already know what book I'm most likely going to pick. Is anybody surprised? It's most likely going to be Poppy Wall. Who is surprised? Show of hands. Well, anyway, yes, so we're meant to do that. The next prompt says Skinny Love, read a book under 200 pages, and for that I'm going with The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what this book is about. I want to enter it pleasantly surprised. What I do know is that it's a retelling of an H.P. Lovecraft novel. Apparently it's a popular one, but I don't know which one exactly it is, because I repeat, I don't want to know anything about this book before entering it. But I think it fits the prompt. Yeah, it does fit the prompt. It's about 150 pages. Yeah, it's at about 150 pages, and I think Jessie of our Bow Ties and Books said that H.P. Lovecraft is kind of racist, or rather was kind of racist, and I think having a black man do a retelling of a story with a black character is the ultimate level of flex. So I am definitely going to be reading this for Valentine's. So Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. And then we have the next prompt, which is Love Triangle, and we're to read a book that is part of a trilogy. And the book I'm choosing is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. In this we follow Binti, who lives in a small town but who has big dreams and who is brilliant, and when she's accepted to this university in outer space, she takes that chance, but on her way to school the spaceship that she's on is attacked by aliens. So it's a case of racing against time to get to the university in time before she's killed. This hardcover contains the entirety of the trilogy of Binti, so my plan is to see if I can read all 3 books. But if not, even if all I'm able to read is the first book or maybe the first and second book, then I'll be perfectly happy. But definitely Binti by Nnedi Okorafor fits this prompt to a T. The next prompt says sharing is caring, and we are to replace this challenge with any challenge from another readathon taking place in February, and Kate recommends the Blackathon because, like I said, they have excellent taste. So of course Kate is going to recommend the Blackathon, and you already know I'm participating in the Blackathon, so nobody's surprised. So the question is, which prompt from the Blackathon do I want to bring into VaLITines? I think I'm going to bring the prompt from Team Contemporary Literature. That's Alexa Martin, which is that we're meant to read a light-hearted work that doesn't center the struggle, aka racism, poverty, drug use, etc., and features romantic or platonic bonds, because that just fits. It fits, you know, the theme of February, of love for me. And I'm going to go with Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. In this we have a young boy who meets a girl and starts to fall in love, but before they can get into a relationship, the girl dies, but then he's caught in a time loop where he has to repeat things over and over again, and he takes this as his opportunity, his chance to, 1, get closer to the girl, and 2, hopefully save her life. And that is the entire premise of this book, to see if he succeeds, to see if he's able to save her life, or if this book is just about making the most of moments, especially when you know that the time you have together is pretty much limited. I love this book. I love the concept. I love the idea. I love the cover. I love the prompts that give way to me choosing this book. So I definitely think this is the prompt I'm going to go with for sharing is caring. The next prompt, which is bubble bath, is where to read in a bubble bath. This can be replaced with another comfort activity if you're not one for bath. I think I'm just going to make it a foot soak because I don't have a bathtub, even though I searched so hard, you guys, for an apartment with a bathtub. I only got one with a shower, and the apartment I found with a bathtub was so cool, but like my neighbors was just disgusting and I could not take the apartment. Yeah, I'm slightly bitter, but I don't have a bathtub, unfortunately. But I think I'm going to make it a foot soak, and I'm going to read a book, any of this many books while I'm doing that. So yes, the 11th prompt says Library Lovers Month, read a book from the library. I don't have a library card because libraries in Lagos not that popular, especially ones that carry the kind of books I enjoy reading. So what I might do, I might end up borrowing a book from a friend, because that was what I did last year when this prompt popped up, because Kate agreed. They said that we could do that, we could read a book that we borrowed from a friend. So I might most likely do that. I will talk to one of my friends to see if they could loan me a book that I would read for Library Lovers Month. Okay, the next prompt says one man's trash. We are to read a book that you've seen someone hate on haul. And for me, the book I'm choosing is Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. Jesse over at Bow Ties and Books hates this book. Like, they really hate this book. Like, oh my god, Jesse, they detest this book, which is sad because the premise is so cool. And when I was picking it up, people were like, oh my god, if you love Gilmore Girls and you love Rory and Paris's relationship in Gilmore Girls, you will love this book, because technically it's all about this two girls who are competitive. One of them had asked the other one out back when they started school, like years before. The other one was offended because she thought that it was all a practical joke played on her, except for the fact that the girl actually did kind of really like her. And now it's time for her final senior year project. She's doing a film, and this girl that she spurned, this girl that she thought was making fun of her by asking her on a date, she's the perfect person to play the lead role, and so she approaches her to play in a film, and then feelings develop as a result of it. So I love the premise, I love the concept, I loved Gilmore Girls, I love Paris and Rory's relationship. I swear, I'm still so pissed that that show was not in any way queer, because Paris and Rory together would have just been top level, like top tier relationship for me. As far as Rory's relationship is like number one, and then number two will probably be her and Jess. But anyway, I'm getting distracted by Gilmore Girls. Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. Jesse hates it. I want to read to see if I would hate it or if I would end up loving it. Fingers crossed that I end up loving it, because I repeat, it's based off of Gilmore Girls and I did love the Gilmore Girls. I'm just hoping that it works and like see these two brown women of color in love. It's so sapphic and beautiful, and I want to read it so bad. So Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. And then of course the next challenge, we are simply to tag the readathon on Twitter or Instagram using @ReadValentines, and use the hashtag Valentines on all our social media platforms. So this one has technically nothing to do with any books, but I have to remember to do that. The 14th prompt says set up, read a book recommended by someone in your life, and the book I'm choosing for that is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. One of my favorite TV shows of all time is based off of this book, and that is The Magicians, which, by the way, if you don't know, season 5 is back. I'm just still right here miffed about the old thing that happened with Quentin. You can see my face, I am not happy. Episode 1 was so fucking hard to watch, but anyway, I'm not getting into that. But after the heartbreak that was the end of season 4, my very good friend Mila sent me this book. She was like, trust me, Noria, I love this book. You would love this book. And this book does things so much better than the way the show wrapped things off with Quentin. So I wanted to read this. I have not been able to read it. And see, you know, someone recommends a book so much when it is that they're like, I love this book so much and I know you will love this book so much, so I'm going to send you the entire trilogy. Yes, Mila sent me the entire Magicians trilogy. Talk about a recommendation. So this is definitely a book recommended by a friend that I am going to read for Valentine's, and I think it fits the prompt of setup so well. By the way, did I say I'm really having a blast with all these prompts and how they're like connected to tropes and like words and lingo from romance? It's just so cute. The next prompt says long time crush, and we are to read a book you've been meaning to read for a while, but something always gets in the way, and the book I'm choosing for that is The Famished Road by Ben Okri. I have had this book for I've wanted to read this book for a while. This book came out, this book is practically as old as I am, and you all know I'm kind of old. I'm not young, I'm not a spring chicken. Okay fine, I'm not that old, but still this book is practically as old as I am, and I've wanted to read it. It's been on my to read list for almost 2 decades. Yeah, about 2 decades. So back when all my friends were reading it, I never got a chance to read it. I never got a chance to pick it up. I kept putting it away until I couldn't find a copy. And so when I traveled to Ibadan, I walked into a bookshop and I saw this. I was like, oh my god, finally I can finally get a chance to read The Famished Road by Ben Okri. So this is definitely a book that has been high on my list. I have wanted to read it. I've had a big time crush on this book for a while. In this we follow Azaro, who is a spirit child, aka Alabiku, aka Anogbanje. These are terms for children who are believed to have one foot in the mortal realm and one foot in the spiritual realm, aka every time they are born, they stay for a couple of months, a couple of years, and then they die to return to the spirit world, and they just keep perpetuating this endless circle of misery and suffering. But Azaro, protagonist in this book, decides to stay in the human realm, and this book follows that journey, follows that life of it. I've been intrigued. I definitely am always been intrigued by the Abiku Ogbanje's story. So definitely a book I've wanted to read for a while, and I am happy that I finally get the chance to do so. The next prompt is Newlyweds, and we are to read one of the most recent books added to your TBR, and for that I am going with Wicked As You Wish by Rinchupeko. Yes, this is an arc. This is an arc that came in my December Fairy Loot box, and so this is the first arc I'm ever getting, so your girl is excited as fuck. In this we follow Prince Alexei, who is the sole survivor of a kingdom that has been taken over by a wicked evil snow queen, and all his people are fled. In fact, currently Alexei is stuck in the one place where his powers are basically zero, is in Arizona. Yes, Arizona. And few people know that he's a prince, even less people know that he's a prince of a magical kingdom, and one of those few people that know his identity and knows his power is his best friend Tala, and she's very good at keeping secrets. In fact, one of her own secrets is that she's a spellbreaker. She negates magic, but when it is that a firebird appears and this creature apparently has the power that Alexei needs to take back his kingdom, to take back his crown, he and Tala and their bunch of friends, a ragtag team of people, go on this journey to fight the firebird so that they can finally fight back and take over their kingdom. I love stories about journeys, which we've already established in a lot of my videos. I love stories about characters going on this journey and finding out more about each other. I also love stories about fan family and a ragtag team of people coming together, combining their resources and their skills to accomplish a common goal. It's a reason why I love Sis, of course. It's a reason why I love Gilded Wolves, and I can't wait to meet this new crew of people in Wicked As You Wish by Rinchupeko. So yeah, it's an arc. Yeah, it's an arc that I actually really find fascinating, and definitely a book I want to read for Valentine's. Like, I am definitely going to be reading this book next month. The next prompt is More to Love, and we are to read a book with over 400 pages, and I'm going with The Famished Road by Ben Okri. It definitely has more than 400 pages. How many pages? 490. 500 pages, and it's really paper thin. So this book definitely has more to love, and I can't wait to read it and love it. So Famished Road by Ben Okri for the More to Love prompt. The next prompt is Not My Type, and we're to read a book out of our comfort zone, or read a book through a medium out of your comfort zone. This can be audiobooks, ebooks, and graphic novels. I didn't pick a medium because I practically read all mediums. I don't really mind, but I did go with The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle, because this is based off of an H.P. Lovecraft novel, and we all know that H.P. Lovecraft is considered one of the fathers of horror, and horror is a genre I don't usually often read. In fact, throughout last year I did not pick up one horror book, so you should know how little I read horror, and I think that this fits because I have also, like, it's a retelling of an horror story, so I think it would fit. So definitely Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle for Not My Type. And then for tuning, we are to make a short playlist for your favorite book, so you're prepared. We're going to do a playlist for the Poppy War series. That's going to be so much fun. I might do a video of myself doing that. That would be so much fun to do. Okay, yeah, I might consider that. Next prompt is Token of Affection, and we're to read a book that we received as a gift, and of course the book I'm going to choose for that is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. Yes, I am trying to combine challenges. Have you seen how many challenges? There are a lot. So I already mentioned that I got this as a gift for my very good friend Mila, so it definitely fits. It definitely fits this prompt as well. I can't wait to read this book. I can't wait to see just how different these characters are, and if I would love the TV show more than the book, or if I would love the book more than the TV show, or if I would see the merits of both of them and love them both equally. But yeah, The Magicians by Lev Grossman. The next prompt is Commitment Issues, and we are to start or continue a series, and I think each of these three books that I already mentioned previously works. Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert is the first book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, so this definitely works. Wicked As You Wish is the start of a fairy tale retelling series that Rinchupeko is doing, so this also counts for that prompt as well. And finally, there's Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is the entire trilogy in one hardcover compilation, so this also counts for the prompt as well. The next prompt is Live Them Up. We are to share at least 5 creators that you love on the platform of your choosing. In this, Kate of course encourages diversity in our recommendation, and for us to share creators that are outside our immediate social circle. So I'm definitely going to be looking through the subscribers, the creators I'm subscribed to, and I'm going to be sharing them. I might probably do a video for that for February as well, so just keep an eye out for that as well. Okay, so the next prompt is You See Me. Read a book that you feel represents you in some way, and I'm definitely going to be going with The Famished Road by Ben Okri. It is set in Nigeria. This character is Nigerian. This entire culture is Nigerian. This feels as close to my root as possible, and I love the concept. I love the premise. I always identify with characters who fit in the in-between and are trying to create a whole new life and identity for themselves. I blame it on the fact that my father is Edo, my mother is Delta. I grew up in Ibadan. If I don't speak my father's language, I am not as familiar with my mother's language. But if you bring Yoruba, like I write, I read, I speak. So I am just a hybrid of different cultures and traditions, and I belong to all and I belong to neither at the same time. So having a character kind of similar to that, it's yet another thing I connect with Azaro in this book. So yeah, this is definitely a book that makes me feel seen. The next prompt is shallow. We have to read a book that you definitely bought for the cover, and I'm not gonna lie, even if it was that this had been a paperback, I would have picked it up because this Binti cover was so pretty. The minute I saw it, I pre-ordered this book so fast. My laptop felt whiplash, like that fast. I am in love with this cover. Look at it. Isn't this one of the most stunning covers you've ever seen? Isn't that cover stunning? Tell me, isn't she beautiful? She's gorgeous, absolutely stunning. And the last prompt, the 25th prompt / challenge, is picture perfect. Read a comic book, graphic novel, or picture book, and for that I am going with Shuri by Inedi Okorafor. I have loved Shuri in comics. I've loved her characters even before the Black Panther movie was released, when everybody was not like, oh my god, we love Shuri now, which I don't mind. I love the fact that superhero movies are making superheroes cool again, because like I've been a geek for so fucking long. But anyway, I love Shuri. I love this black girl who is one of the most intelligent people in the Marvel comic verse, and in the first Shuri issue, our brother T'Challa, Black Panther, is missing. He went into space and has not come back, and that of course means that there's a void to be filled, and Shuri, being of royal line and being his younger sister, his immediate younger sister, has to arise to the throne. The only problem is that she has no interest in ruling. She's never had any interest in ruling. That was T'Challa's job. She has always been comfortable in her labs working on her experiments, and now she has to step out of her lab to lead her people. And this book is just all about her coming to terms with that and figuring out exactly what is good, not just for her people, but also what is good for her dreams and her hopes and her expectations. And I've wanted to read this comic ever since it was released. I love Inedi Okorafor's writing. I love Shuri as a character. It's a match made in heaven for me, and it's a comic I can't wait to read, and I'm going to read in VaLITines. But yeah, those are the 25 challenges / prompts for VaLITines. Like I said, I'm going to leave Kate's announcement video down in the description bar. Go check it out, go show them some love. But yeah, that would be my video. If you liked it, please do not forget to give it a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos, subscribe if you want to. I make new videos every Sundays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and I'll see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.